What's up everybody, Jared here with CarBuzz.com, and today we're talking about a new concept car that seems to have the internet furious, like pitchforks and torches furious. So this is a new concept car called the BMW XM, and I'm not gonna bore you with too much intro stuff. We're gonna jump right into it. We're checking out some exterior B-roll of the car, and we're gonna talk about why the internet is so mad about this car. So this is the official video from BMW. Now we see, this is our first look at the car here on video. Yikes, you can definitely tell. Ooh, pretty background. At least the background is pretty to try and distract from the car. Woof. Okay, so BMW has been getting a lot of flack lately from people with some of their designs. You know, you've got the M3 and the M4 with those big, huge grills, big nostrils that everybody is not such a big fan of. You've got the same thing on the i4, you've got it on the 4 Series, you've got it on the iX, their new electric car that's coming out. And these aren't quite as big vertically, but as you can see right here, yeah, these grills are massive. I'm seeing a lot of people compare the front end of this car to Pumbaa from The Lion King, which I don't think is a very big compliment for BMW's designers. So yeah, not a lot of people calling this a pretty design from the get-go. Now remember, this is just a concept. It might not look exactly like this when it reaches production, but to my eye, this is a little bit more production ready than we've seen from some other concepts. So I don't think it's gonna look entirely like this, but it's not gonna be too different either. Just letting you know my predictions here. Let's see if there's anything we do like here. Okay, so these headlights, we see these really thin, really small headlights here. I think those actually look quite cool if you look at them just separately here. We'll see a little bit later in the video that maybe those headlights could be a cool design element for BMW moving forward. I think the thing people really don't like here are the massive kidney grills. BMW just keeps making these bigger and bigger and bigger. They're already quite big on the X7, but they are massive here on this XM. The one thing that's kind of cool is that you can see there's like an LED light around each of the kidney grills. That's actually kind of a cool feature. You can see here on the side we have 23-inch wheels. Yes, we have reached the point in time where we now get 23-inch wheels on cars. Oh my God, there it is from the front profile. Definitely not doing any favors, but the lighting is kind of cool on it when you see that the grille is all lit up there. Yeah, there's like a zoom in on the grille. We're gonna see this hood is very sculpted here. That's kind of cool. So this name, XM, you might be wondering why it's called that. So basically, if you look at any of the M cars, they're based on other models. So you have the 3 Series and you have the M3, you have the X5 and then you have the X5M. BMW's idea here is that this is going to be a standalone M model. There's not gonna be a regular version of this car that doesn't have an M engine. This is the first time that BMW has ever done that since the original M1, which is a little bit disappointing. I wish that they maybe would have come out with like a mid-engine supercar, not a big bloated luxury crossover like this, but that's besides the point. So that's the name XM. I think they actually had to come up with a deal with Citroen because there was a Citroen called the XM. So I think BMW had to make a special deal with them to be able to get that name for this new model, but that is what it will be called when it reaches production. By the way, this is just the concept car. The production model should be arriving next year, so we'll see like the production XM next year, but later next year, like late in 2022. We don't have door handles here. They're kind of recessed into the doors. This is really cool. I mentioned the 23-inch wheels. You see that BMW logo is spinning. It's gonna be a lot like a Rolls-Royce where the wheel will turn, but the BMW logo will always like be upright, which is kind of cool. I think that's kind of neat. Okay, so this is another reason why people are not liking this car. You can see the back end. There's a lot going on here. We've got these really interesting thin taillights. We've kind of got this weird roof design here, and you've got these sort of quad exhaust tips sticking out of the back. We'll talk about the engines a little bit later, but this is not an electric car. This is a plug-in hybrid. We'll talk a little bit more about the drivetrain. You can see here's the charge door where you would be able to charge it up as well. So let's see if it's going to give us a better look at the back end. Yeah, there it is. It's not as bad. I don't think looking at it directly from the rear, this glass is a little bit weird. I don't think they'll be able to do a shape like this on a production car, but we'll see. I think the taillights will more or less look that way, and the tailpipes are interesting. Let me know in the comments if you think the tailpipes are kind of cool. They're not as bad as the rest of the car. Yeah, here's like a close-up of that glass hatch. There's the XM badge, which is sort of all in black. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the styling. There's one or two cool things. Like I think the taillights are pretty cool here. We're gonna skip around a little bit. There is a lot going around here with this C-pillar. I could definitely see BMW doing a two-tone design with like a different roof color on the production model. That's definitely something that we're going to see. Yeah, the design on this is not doing the car any favors, but I'm actually gonna take it out of this video and we're gonna check out another video where I think the XM shines a little bit better. Okay, so the exterior design, not great. I can see why people are really giving BMW a hard time for this, but now we're gonna check out the interior. Guys, this is like the opposite. The interior is fantastic. This might be one of the best cabins BMW has ever done, at least in the modern era. You can see we have sort of a typical BMW steering wheel, but it's got this really nice brown leather on it. You can see this is BMW's new curved display. This looks very similar to what you'll get on the i4 and the iX. They're two electric models. Gorgeous displays here. Look at that! Wow, okay, all right. Look at the roof. You've got this sort of amazing pattern here. It's like red. You've got like these triangular LEDs. Oh my gosh. And look at the back seat. So the back seat, you've got kind of these captain's chairs, and then you've got this kind of, I don't even know what to call it. I think it's velvet, but it kind of looks like a mermaid's tail here on the bottom. So this is the back seat. It's sort of like this blue color. You see we have lots of glass here and lighting to kind of make the cabin look very open. Even though there's no glass roof, this cabin looks very airy, very like spacious on the inside, very luxurious. This is going to be a very expensive BMW model. I'm loving the carpeting here. Wow, I'm very impressed with the interior. Here in the front, we've got sort of brown saddle leather here. You can see a better angle of that curved display. That's gorgeous. They've kind of done like what you'd get on a Supra or maybe even a Corvette, where they've very divided the cabin. So the passenger and the driver are sort of very spaced apart with this big element here on the central tunnel. That looks really cool as well. Let's see if we get a better angle. So there's a better angle of the seats. You have sort of M logos stitched into them. You have this really nice brown leather. This is a gorgeous cabin. And I mentioned we're gonna talk a little bit about what's under the hood. It's gonna have the same 4.4 liter twin turbo V8 that you get in like an X5M or an X6M, but it's going to be paired with a plug-in hybrid drivetrain, so 750 horsepower. It's gonna be the most powerful production BMW ever made, and not just that, you will be able to drive about 30 miles on electric only range. So although the exterior is kind of ugly, I think the interior is great, and that drivetrain sounds epic. So at this point in the video, we've basically decided that the XM is very controversial on the outside. It's borderline ugly. The interior looks really great and the powertrain sounds amazing. But we over at CarBuzz.com wanted to see if we could make people like the XM's design a little bit by taking some of the elements that we liked on it and putting them on a different BMW. So if you head over to CarBuzz.com, link in the description below, you'll see this article that we wrote with a rendering that we made in-house. So this is what we think the next generation of BMW X5 could look like if it adopts some styling elements from the XM concept. So right here you'll see this is the front end of the car. And listen, I'm not just saying this because I work for the company and I know the designer that penned this, but come on, you gotta be with me here that this looks a lot better than what BMW showed us. So what we did was we took an X5 as the base, we added the headlights, grille, and some other elements, including the wheel design, and stitched those onto the current generation X5. I think it looks great. First of all, the headlights, like I said on the XM, look pretty good here. We made the grille a little bit smaller, but we did take those LED lights around the ring, which I thought was a cool element, and added them here. I'm loving the color here. BMW has done matte blues like this, so this is not off the table for BMW to do something like this on an X5. But basically, I think this looks a lot more handsome than what BMW actually did with the XM. You can see here in the rear, we took some more elements from the car. We took the taillights and grafted those onto an X5. And although it doesn't have those quad stacked exhausts like the XM, you can see we did take those sort of, I don't know if they're like hexagonal taillights, and we did graft those here on the back. And judging from the comments that we've seen on this article on our website, people seem to really like what we did here, taking the X5, taking the elements from the XM, and then putting them together to kind of create this image. So I would say maybe not all hope is lost with BMW. Maybe they can find some things that people do like about the XM. And like we said, the plug-in hybrid powertrain sounds really exciting. But we want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments whether or not you like the XM or whether or not you really hate it. Let us know in the comments also if you preferred our next generation BMW X5 design over what BMW actually produced. I'll be sure to read those comments as you guys post them, but until then, I'll see you next time.